Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sajid Patel, co-founder of the National Cricket League and League Secretary. Obviously, you guys who knows me well. Um, I've got a surprise for you guys. Obviously, I'm speaking with a brother, a young brother, obviously playing his cricket, a professional cricketer himself, played for Essex County Cricket Club, as well as Lahore Qalandars. He's also training and obviously did some work with them. He's a young man from the North Kent area. I'd like to introduce brother Junaid Nadir. Brother Junaid Nadir, Assalamu alaikum. Hi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sajid bhai. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Just as I said, we all here in the same boat, just trying to.
Yep, all
Uh,
at home, surviving.
that's it. That's what we're trying to do. But with that, so Junaid, tell us how you feel. How you been?
Good. It's been an interesting time to say the least. I think that's we can all say. But we're there. We're being active, so that's a positive. So that's one thing. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, likewise, being active. Obviously, with all the positivity that we're trying to provide, not only just for ourselves, because we do need it for our own mind's sake, but then we also need to provide that for others. It's a service that we want to provide, giving back to the community. So, yeah, it's great. And as I said, last time we met, or last time we were both on the camera together, was on Islam Channel for Living the Life. If you
Yes,
remember that.
yes, I remember. I remember. That was a lovely little interview. That was pretty powerful and pretty special. That was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, brother Imran Majid was the host, if you remember,
Yes, yes.
and he was the one who was obviously telling us, giving us the questions, and obviously we were sort of bouncing each other. I think we made a really good chemistry together when we were on that show. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. Three brothers who are sharing the same mission. It's you put the three minds together, it becomes pretty powerful, which is good.
No, definitely. So, no, so obviously, no, but yeah, and as I said, I think I had a little bit more poundage than on myself when I look back at the photo. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
saw.
even me, my hair was all big and long there. I grew my hair out for a little bit. I thought change, but now I've gone back to the short. So it's nice. It's nice to see different changes and to see where you also are continuing to progress as well. And as a human, it's very powerful to see how you continue to see yourself transition. You know what I mean?
No, definitely, I completely agree. So, tell me, Janet, what is it that you have been doing since then? Obviously, you've been an athlete, pro cricketer. Um, Obviously, there must be ways, and I'm sure that there's real insight you can provide, not only to obviously people like myself, obviously,
Yeah.
but young people that we have obviously following us, and obviously cricket in general. What's your message, and what is it that you've been doing, and how do you think young
Sure.
people should do?
It's a beautiful question, Sajid Bhai. It's coming to this sort of situation and this time. It's really different from what it used to be or what it was supposed to be. The season was supposed to start. We were supposed to be a couple of weeks in now, and obviously we're yet unsure of when we'll even have a season, if we'll have a season. Now, it takes you back to the basics. I'm really been talking about taking things back to the basics. Like when I was a kid, I used to run in and bowl in the house, like in the living room, in the hallway, just bowl the ball off the wall and catch it, and hitting the ball off the wall and hitting it back off the wall back to you. So if you're standing there, you can throw a ball up to the wall and just hit it back and try and keep a rhythm going. It's like playing pat ball. If you remember that game in school that you see,
Oh yeah,
you need
definitely.
to pat the ball
That
back.
brings back
So
memories. Yes.
so this working hand-eye coordination. So it's basic things like that. But then obviously people have facilities like gardens and stuff as well. So going into the gardens, hitting balls off the cones, running in and trying to bowl something if you can, or even catching people, take away that part of the fielding side of things, like catching off the walls, throwing a tennis ball off the wall, catching it, one hand work and stuff. Like there's a lot to do. But I've used this time and initiatives, like instead of just sitting around doing nothing, like how can I train and how can I actually make that training useful and beneficial? And I think that's the biggest part of it, because we can go out and have a bit of fun playing in the garden, but then it's these little 1% that if you focus on and actually look to work on your hand-eye coordination or certain skills, or even like spinners, they can, you know, bowl the ball again off the wall. You can throw it. You can work on your revs, your seams, your positionings. So there's a lot of things you can do, and you can actually benefit from these things.
No, that's brilliant. Obviously, you're a bowler, and I'm more of a bowler as well myself. So batting might not be a speciality to talk, but then are there any tips of batting training that you may have seen from fellow professionals, or they may have shared something with you during this lockdown?
For sure. Something called shadow batting. People really take that out of the equation these days. Shadow batting is literally having the bat in your hand and literally visualizing yourself like playing in a match, and you're just thinking of a ball that's coming in, swinging away, and you're looking to play a shot. But when you play it, you're looking to be in the best of positions. So that's the real basics. And then you can integrate a ball into that. Drop fees, like having a ball in your hand and just dropping it in front of you, driving, taking into a shot, playing a drive that like that. Again, off the wall, throwing the ball against the wall, hitting it back off the wall. Again, if you've got garden spaces, like hitting the ball off a cone, hitting it off a tee. I've been doing that because obviously I haven't had many people to train with, or anything, or anyone. So we've had to find a ways to do it. And even with bowling, I'm a bit fortunate. I've made like a little pitch in the garden, which I've been taking a lot of time doing. But you can just like walk in and work on skills, bowling Yorkers, bowling slow balls as well. So yeah, there's a lot out there to do. It's about using your initiatives and being inventive. Like there's no wrong and rights. Like these are like some ideas, but then you can go on and use these ideas and add your own sort of corporations in there. You know, there's the other one is the you might have seen it actually. When you put the ball in a sock and you like tie it onto like a pole or something, and it's got room to swing, and you just hitting the ball back and forth. So that's a good way to get some knocking time in.
Yeah, obviously I've shared, I don't know if you've been watching some of the videos, not only my one, I'm just talking about in general on my NCO website, the Facebook page. And we've had plenty of our cricketers from our league, our Premier League players, actually did the sock batting, they've done a batting off the wall. And obviously they've really, and it's really good that we've got a lot of players who are providing that sort of showcasing that, you know what, you can still keep yourself fit, keep yourself positive, and going forward of how things are in regards to while you don't feel yourself that you're very limited. And you've rightly said it's about being creative. That creativity is very important. That and you know
you're an inspiration in that side of things as well. Like you've gone out there and laying a platform and a foundation as a coach, as a community leader, and putting out these videos of different sort of skills you can do at home, and they're fun. They look good. I recommend people to go over and head over to watch those videos on your YouTube as well, which is out there. But to have a look and like see how you've been inventive, and again try what you're doing, and then incorporate it and make the challenge harder, or if it's easy for you, or to make it easier for yourself. And it's amazing because if you're able to do that as the individual that you are, then I think that if kids have, you know, great ideas these days and they're at home, and YouTube and social media being such a big platform these days, I think that they should be encouraged to put out their skills and their talents that they may potentially have and be showing, you know?
No, definitely. As I said, it's just the reason I wanted to take that initiative on board was really to sort of, as I said, it's sharing the knowledge that that I have and what we have, and you putting it into good use, good practice. It's all about intentions at the end of the day. It's not about fame or anything. It's really about the intentions, where we just try and sort of, with those videos, obviously you may have seen that they're more of a basic or beginner level, where it's just for families of households, and just for parents to sort of be inspired to even to have a go themselves if they are not that active, and young people, for the young children and young people, it's just more for them, that I sort of went with that. And I mean, I think my latest ones obviously are a bit more challenging because I've now made it a bit more cricket related, so making it more cricket related in a way that I just did a Yorker challenge. So obviously, I don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, that was a nice one where six attempts. 6 attempts, you throw you bowl the
Yeah.
ball, and you try and hit a tennis ball on the other side, on top of a cone or on top of the tee. However you can do it. You can even use toilet roll if you want to put it on top. If, it's about being that, as you rightly said, they've been that innovative and inventive to try and use whatever you can as an object to basically.
These are the times that the human mind is so powerful, and as much as we can get bored of doing things, our minds are so powerful that we can almost be so inventive and creative to go out and do things and be inventive and be creative. The mind is so powerful. There's a saying that those who say they can and those who say they can't are both right in their own ways, because you're either believing or you're not believing that you can or cannot do something. So if you can change that mentality and be inventive and use new ideas and initiatives, and parents as well, it doesn't just have to be for the young community. Like even if you used to play sports back in your youth or whatever it is, and it doesn't mean that because you're older now, you're not playing professionally or semi-professional or club level. Doesn't mean you still can't do it. You can still keep yourself active, hit some balls, and even if you have young children, you can do it with them and gain that sort of connection and reconnection that people need to rekindle these days.
No, that's brilliant. And how before obviously the whole lockdown and everything, how was your academy running? The Nadir Cricket Academy.
Alhamdulillah, that's been good. I took a break on that when I went out to Lahore for the Lahore Qalandar stuff. Went out to Pakistan, and then I've come back, and now we're looking to run a new initiative which people should look out for, especially now with this quarantine period and all of this stuff that we don't really know what's going on and how the lockdown really incorporating with us and what is next. As a coach, which I'm sure you can tell me more about how you've been doing it as a leader in your side of things, that how we must now find new ways of delivering coaching sessions, how coaching sessions will run from now on. The mass gatherings that used to be, I'm sure that may not be there now. So there needs to be new avenues and new strategies and techniques that we as coaches need to adapt from this. So that's going to be the new interesting side of that. But otherwise, before it's been, alhamdulillah, been going very strong. And tell me about your stuff, Sajid.
Well, myself, obviously, as I said, we've obviously were preparing for cricket itself with the National Cricket League NCL, the Sunday program, as we do. We had a lot of teams, as always, 50 plus teams, getting ourselves ready, gearing themselves up before this whole lockdown happened. Everyone's going to do net practice. They're doing, they're doing prep work. When the weather was slightly getting better, a lot of the players started doing outdoor training. And people were sort of gearing themselves up. And then obviously all of a sudden when this has happened, it's put a dent on the delays, because not easy and I can imagine from a player's point of view, whoever who plays cricket once a week, twice a week, from our side, because obviously local level, they're different. Obviously they look forward to cricket a lot. I'm not saying that professional pro players will look forward to playing, but the local players who really have the passion and desire really look forward to playing cricket on Sunday, on a Saturday, on a midweek basis. And it just, as I said, it's just, words can't describe it on what they're going through. And, when the weather's out nice, beautiful, like what it is today, it's just so tempting to go out there and say, you know what, I want to go and play cricket. But and I know that that's not the message that we really want to send out at this moment.
Of course, it's the toughest thing to do at the moment. We must stay home and listen to the government guidelines and rules. We must follow. So let's see what they say next. So like you were saying about how you've been delivering sessions to people via Zoom. So tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, obviously I've been delivering sessions on Zoom to young people. What would we do? Obviously it's through my the other hat on, which is Newark Youth London. So obviously I have a team of 3 people, 2 other colleagues, all obviously specialise in coaching in different sports, and fitness trainer. One's a female colleague and one's a male colleague. And we're working together in regards to, well, with Newark Youth London, that's more just Tower Hamlets residents, so that's one borough. And we do get a lot of young people come on board. The services we do, obviously our team provide more of a physical activity. So we provide different sort of sessions from getting the toilet rolls from one end to another. We'll stack 10 and they've got to do it. So it's like a little relay
Nice,
to,
nice, nice.
to throwing, instead of if they don't have balls, we'll tell them to roll up a pair of socks, make that into a ball. There's various, as I said, it's that creativity of activating an activity in your own home. Because, some of them, I mean, many of them won't have gardens, so obviously we have to look at providing a more homely environment to the session. So, we're very limited on what we can do, but we have the feedback we've got from young people through the sessions are absolutely positive, and I'm sure that you probably might be doing something yourself to the young people, or the advice.
So that's pretty positive. That's really nice to what you're doing, to be able to provide such a thing for these people, and an opportunity like that, which I know many people are not even getting. You talk about it, about the facilities and how much you can do that stuff. The restrictions are there to everybody, I believe. You know, not everybody's. I think most people are in this situation, so it's as much as it is a downtime that we're not getting the facilities and the stuff that we may need, but it almost, you got to look at it as like everybody's almost in the same boat. So if that's the case, then you got to look at it like some people may have, like we were talking about, have bigger spaces in the garden, more facilities to train friends, brothers, siblings, you know, so people have more than others at the same time than people that don't. So you got to look at it as a playing perspective, like everybody's on almost a level playing field at the moment. And this is the time where you either get ahead or you can almost fall off, because people may not even want to be training. They may not have the motivation, the mental strength now. It's quite tiring now. It's getting a bit exhausting. It's getting exhausting for people. So this is the time where you see who really wants it and who really doesn't. So I continue to encourage the people that if you really want to desire to push on to something, this is the time to really cash in, if anything. I think these times are more of opportunities than, you know, downtimes, and as people are looking at this situation.
I think what you've said, the word cash in, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it all, because this is the time when and I use 3 R's to doing this: review, reflect, and rebuild. These are my 3 R's when I'm using
review, reflect, and rebuild.
Review, reflect, and rebuild. So that's my 3 R's I use to, and I've been promoting that as well. So it's not that, it's just a simple formula to saying, you know, you're reviewing the situation, or you're reviewing yourself. You know, what is it that you can offer? Reflect is what you can offer more. What is it that you haven't tried, or what you could work on? And then obviously rebuild is obviously rebuilding everything all around you. So obviously with the whole lockdown and everything, we're going to have to rebuild. You know, there are certain people who rebuild the mindset, rebuild the physical side of things. You know, there's a lot to do.
It's going back to basics. It's really going back to basics.
Absolutely right. Going back to basic is what you actually touched on at the beginning of this whole thing. So obviously we want to try and make sure that going back to basic is what we need to do, because you know we as human beings, we seem to take things for granted. We've as I said, there was a lot of people who took things for granted, you know, whatever their reasons are. But as I said, we seem to take things for granted, and then, as you said, we've all sort of been brought back down to earth with this whole situation. And it's just to try and, as I said, we want to try and, as you rightly said at the beginning, we're going back to basic. We're looking at reviewing and, you know, review, reflect, and rebuild. How do we go forward, come out from this whole situation stronger, more positive, and valuing that, you know, that these sort of things has happened. You know, you can imagine going in years, if we're still around, telling our children or grandchildren of the whole of this situation. They're not
Of course,
prepared
this
to
is going
look
to
at
go
it.
down in history, of course. Yeah.
It is definitely going to go down in history. And to tell them about this situation where this has happened, this and they'll probably think, "Wow, really?" They might think it's like coming from a movie or something.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
of the things
yeah.
that they'll say. But yeah, it's as I said, it's one of those things that we just want to continue. And as I said, the contribution that you're making yourself and providing that message to everyone, and obviously, I'm sure we're going to see some
Likewise,
video.
likewise.
Yeah, seeing your videos hopefully on some of the training programs, which I can share
Yes.
through the young people of my side as well. Because at the end of the day, we
Yeah.
want to share
Mhm.
my biggest thing has always been sharing the positivity. Either
Mhm.
we help one household or one individual, or we help 100 individuals
Yeah.
or household. I just it's
Without the one, you don't have a million. It's just as
Hmm?
simple as that. Without the one, you don't have a million. You have to have the one to get to that.
That's right. I think that's a perfect way to really put this forward. So obviously, we've just obviously you touched on the Lahore Qalandars. What was your experience like there? How was it different? Was it different compared to the training and so that you've done at, or let's say Essex County Cricket Club? What are the different methods?
Yeah. Nice question. It's first of all, it was an honor to go out there and to be part of something like that. It's always nice to be represented by international stages. Um, it was it was a new challenge. It was a T20 tournament actually that they were hosting pre the PSL, which they brought back to Pakistan. It was to sort of test the waters and to see if they can start hosting such events back in Pakistan with the security. And obviously to take up an advantage to play back in my parents' hometown and in their home country, I thought, why not? Um, it was an experience to say the least. We got to go around the country first of all to Lahore, Islamabad, and
Wow,
up to Kashmir, a place that I actually never thought I would visit, to be honest with you. And even my parents, my father being from Pakistan, he's actually never been there to this part of Azad Kashmir. So that was nice to get that sort of experience to go play in the Muzaffarabad Stadium, which, to be honest with you, was one of the most, or in my opinion, one of the most beautiful stadiums that are in the world. It's like, I don't know what was the altitude at the time, but it was high up into the mountains, and around you, you're just surrounded by mountainous, and
wow.
it's pretty
Being above
stunning, and
sea
it's in the
level.
middle of nowhere. Yeah, much more above sea level, and we had the PM of Kashmir there as well. He came to the games. They had like an air show and stuff, so it was pretty a wow event, and to be part of that. And yeah, like you were saying, the whole structure is of course it's different to what you have here. I think that's what people, and that's why it's good to go out to different countries to explore how they go about their training and they go about their regimes, because that's how you learn and develop your game as well. And you see how they play their game. Pakistan's a big country on talent. As you can probably be aware, the talent that comes out of the country
Definitely.
is second to none. Um, but the facilities that we have here, they don't really have there, even at the highest of levels, to be honest with you. So that's where the discrepancy is at. But if you see how the talent shines out there, just due to their work ethic, because they obviously got the weather for it. That's where they beat us in that aspect. They've constantly got good weather all around, so they're really on top of their game, on top of their batting, bowling, and their skills. But when you come to like these little one percenters as an athlete, the training side of things, the agility, the mobility, stabilizations, playing as a cricketer, then that's where you have the big differences on how you can push on to that next level. And that's where you're bigger than all of those people. So it's really interesting to see the differences, because obviously again you have the talent and you have people who've got the talent as well, but they may be better in them in some aspects in terms of like fitnesses and other skills. But these guys have it better because again we're playing in their hometown. They've got the home advantage. So Yeah, it was lovely. And to play, it was televised around the world as well, so that was pretty nice.
Wow, that's brilliant. You know, it's just, can I say, how did you adapt to the conditions there? Obviously, the conditions obviously are different from here and there.
I took initiative beforehand. I went out a couple of weeks before, and I went into the camp with Wabda, which is the first class team out there, with some big names that play within that team, likes of Mohammad Asif, Ehsan Adil from Pakistan, the quick bowlers, Zulfikar Babar, the spinner, and the list goes on. Garman Akmal, Salman Bhatt. So some big names, and I took up a camp with them. I was in there with them for about 3 weeks prior to the actual starting the camp with Lahore, and that really got me acclimatized because it was hot. It was really hot. It was really hot.
No, sure.
It was. I can't remember what time of the year it was, but it was just off our season here. So the humidity during the day, it wasn't like it was about 34, 35, but there was no air. You could drop a pin and you could literally feel that pin drop. It was so hot. And it would just zap you. You bowl 5 overs and it would feel like you bowled 15, equivalent to bowling here.
Wow.
So lots of water, lots of fluids to keep you going. And trying to eat heavy out there it was also tough because it's being so hot. You didn't really want to eat. You just wanted to drink. So trying to get the right nutrient intakes was quite tough. So I got that adjustment beforehand, it was amazing because the pitches are so flat out there. Not like here, you've got the green seamers, the overcast weather sometimes, but there it's pretty flat. The batsmen are, like I was saying, they're pretty fine tuned because all they're doing is facing bowlers all day. So you come there and you're like, oh shit, I need to up my game a little bit. And so you have to really run in the ball hard or look to swing the ball or nip it back, and they're on top of it. So that was a tough part of it, but that helped me adapt. I think there's like I said in recent times, that it's if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So I think that if you're going to do something, you must have prepared prior to going to do so. Like if you look at boxers, they're going to 6 to 8 week camps for one night of fighting. So that's the preparation for that night. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's, I think that's brilliant the way you put that in the end. We're using boxing and other sports, and the preparation has to be just about enough, or just about has to be perfect, and you've got to have the right tools and the training and facilities to do that. And as I said, it's brilliant, and thanks for sharing that. It's just nice that that obviously we have a lot of British, Pakistani young people here. Obviously, we work with many South Asian communities: Indian, Pakistanis, Bangladeshi, Afghanistani kids. Obviously,
What do they ask you about these children? What's the most frequent question you get asked by these youngsters?
I think a lot of the questions which are asked are, I want to play county or professional cricket. The parents now are a lot more, try and give as much time, obviously, depending on the financial situation that they're in. There's obviously, a lot of young people looking for opportunities. We as a league, we sort of come in at sort of a right time, I would say. 2012. My journey for young people really started 22 years ago. 22 years ago, where in 1998, I obviously was looking, not lost, I would say. I can't really offer much on the game. My bowling was obviously with the shoulder, sort of wasn't the player that I used to be at a very early age. And it was hard to sort of adapt to saying, how can I live without, or what do I need to do? I really love the game of cricket so much. And what I did is, again, it's coming back to that, the 3 R's. Even then, you won't realize it until now, as you get maturity. As you see, I've got a lot more grayer hair now. So working with young people then, it's like in my own area of Leytonstone, I picked up young people who were had the passion to play cricket, I would say. Some had the experience of playing club cricket, but then had lost the confidence. And it was a case of how do I get them to bounce back? So with some of the youth services that I've done as well in the past as a volunteer, some of the things that we also did was how do we provide cricket around other stuff? So life skills, giving them that leadership skills. And it was just from there, it just completely went from one area to another area. And as I said, I wasn't a qualified coach then, but I just had the knowledge and the experience to say, you know what, I can pass on my experience of what I have from a cricketing point of view. So yeah, we made a team. We put that into a Sunday league in 2003. So 1990, I started off. I had a lot of 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds who now become 15, 16-year-olds. Got them into playing league cricket on a Sunday. And from there, it just grew. I just continued working with different generations, different age groups coming each year. And alhamdulillah, as I said, we combined the effort in not just the young people, but then a lot of the older players and the older people, or people my age and even older or younger, they sort of come together and said, you know what, there's got to be, we need to have a platform on going forward. And we used to play in a league, and obviously there was offers there, but we felt that they were very limited with the offers. So some of the things that we wanted to emulate was trying to create a platform where we all know that there is traditional cricket. So you have traditional Saturday club cricket, which is the white kit and the red ball. As you know, at the time, you have obviously the T20 franchise started with in England, and the IPL took it, the Indian Premier League took it to the next level. And that's where people may not agree that T20 cricket is cricket. I find it fair enough. Some people's perception is entertainment, but for me, what's the benefit of this entertainment is to bring in new audiences, to draw the interest of more people playing cricket. And I think T20 cricket has done that really well. So I wanted to emulate something to say, okay, I see what I saw was, all right, maybe the format is something which we can work on. So a lot of people preferred 40 over cricket, which we've been used to playing on Sundays. What they wanted to do is, a lot of us may not have had an opportunity, or we might be too late, we're talking about someone my age, to play professional cricket, play white ball cricket. So we brought the international concept onto Grassroot. So that was the whole thing of why we've been so successful and people love it. And there are a lot of leagues now who are following our suit. So it just shows that the decision we made, we were the first.
So what format are you playing now in your league?
We're playing 40, we play 40 over league cricket. We play 40 over cup cricket. And then obviously we play a T20, and we also do a T10. We were in 2010, we started the T10 with 4 stars LBW. So it's, I know for us bowlers, we don't have the LBW decision at the time, but we have one more stump to aim at. So that's
okay, nice.
Yeah. So again, I saw that 4 stumps from a tape ball cricket from back home in India. So so these are sort of things that when people like obviously the likes of Essex got in contact with us, Gulfraz obviously started the whole thing off, as you know Gulfraz very well, from Club Cricket Conference. He got in contact with me in 2012, and where I think, as I said, it's all about timing, it's all about destiny as well. So Gulfraz got in contact with myself. I met him at one of the cricketing events, and he just got talking to saying, we really need to do something for South Asian young people. That was music to my ears when he said, it's not that I want to do it just for South Asians, I want to do it for all communities. If someone deserves to play cricket, progress and go forward, I am that sort of person who will help whichever community, faith or background they're from. But where it was beautiful that when Gulfraz said this to me and said, he wanted to know more. So obviously I gave my insight at the time, and along with other leagues who also gave their insight. And then it was then in 2013 in March that my first meeting, along with some of the other stakeholders, came with the likes of Dan Feast from Essex, the head of operation, and
Mhm.
and I think he was one of the first people, I would say, from Essex who had really wanted to take an insight and really listen to us. And obviously from there we've just gone some of the ideas, and obviously this is where I met you for the first time, was at Wanstead. I can't remember what year it was, but when I met you at Wanstead, when we did these, I think it might have been 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was 2014. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so 2014 is when we met for the first time, where this was our second annual fixture that we did with the East London Cricket Festival. So the concept was, as you know, and you've experienced it from wearing the Essex shirt for the second, was an annual fixture between the Cricket Leagues 11, which was the non-traditional leagues. So obviously NCO and other leagues were there. And obviously we had to nominate players from various, from the NCO, I nominated many players, other leagues did the same, and then a neutral selection committee sort of put the team together. And we've always had about 5 or 6 representation from our league. I think on that day there was 5. And I do remember, obviously, as a good friend of ours as well today, Sad Mahmood was playing for Essex. He played in that game.
Yes.
Obviously, Reece Topley was another big name. So you really had a really strong team on that day. And
it was, and you guys gave us a good run in. I remember it was it wasn't an easy game, but you know, Dan Lawrence at the time, he was playing. I still remember that knock he had that game.
Oh yes,
it was pretty delightful.
Yeah, no. I think you were very lucky, very fortunate to have such players. And obviously, you mentioned Dan Lawrence, who's now in the first 11 now. It just shows that it's great. It's a great, stepping stone for some of the second 11 players for Essex. But I think it's also a wake-up call for some of their youngsters. So when you mention about the young people, why they ask these questions, we said, okay, we've set an opportunity up. Some of them will get a reality check on finding out where they're at. Some of them were found out on the day to say, you know what, you've got many levels to still go up, or a few levels to go up, but you definitely can compete if you really work hard and you're given the opportunity. I think where I feel that they lacked on, and I'll be honest with you, is the sort of a coaching program wasn't there afterwards for these young players to upskill themselves. So what I mean by upskilling, they should have had the opportunity to upskill themselves on having a training with performance coaches or professional players, or even just professional coaches. So obviously Chris Silverwood, I think, was there at the time, having let's say 10-week program with Chris Silverwood and his coaching team would have really pushed. I'm not saying it may have happened, I'm not sure, as I said, but something like that would have really given the players a bit more of an intense training. Our players are more used to, and the local players are more used to, the club training.
I think that's fair. Because it's amazing that you were saying how your league's been replicated almost around the country now, which is really beautiful to see. Now, I remember a couple of years ago when I was still in the Kent League, we actually had a similar game where they selected the best 11 from the Premier League side to play against the second and first team players of the Kent professional team side. Obviously, I wasn't playing for Kent at the time. I was on the club side, and we had some ex-professionals in there. We had a pretty solid side as a club 11. We actually beat Kent, funny enough, on both of the games. But it just goes to show that people who are playing at a high level within club cricket and those who are not, like, there is a transition of that journey. Like, I started off when I was 13 playing division like 4s and 6s and starting in teams I didn't even know I didn't even want to be around, but you have to go through that. And you find that transition, and where you're coming onto it, like, you see that's level of cricketers, and to be able to share a pitch with some of these people. Being given the opportunity to share a pitch with some of these people is also a blessing for some of these cricketers, because they never thought that. But that is also, like you were saying, that's the stepping stone to getting to where potentially that they are asking, that how do we become a pro? So obviously you've laid the foundations for them. So if they continue to do well and keep their head and ambitions there, and they work hard, there's nothing that stops them. Because if you can play alongside them and you can beat them, then that should give them the insights that, you know what, actually, you can see it when you was watching the match, when I was watching it as well, you could visually see the physical differences. Like some people were fitter than others. We actually had a few guys on our team that were very fit, that were probably fitter than some of the professionals, and vice versa. But you could see that as a collective bunch, when they were moving around the field, they were very like active, and they were firing around, because they've had that, as you were saying, that 10-week program. They've been on a program that gets them to that. But I feel like now that these kids who are coming through to not, yes, there should be something in place to bridge that gap, so that when people do come from club cricket to represent county cricket, there's not that massive discrepancy in their abilities. Hopefully some coaches will pick that up. I'm actually looking to pick that up myself, to fill in that gap and work with some young up and coming professionals to see if I can bridge that gap, so when they fall into the county scene, that they're ready to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there is, as you said, it's like any sport, there's always going to be a gap from getting to a top level of grassroots level, or Premier League level on grassroots, to a professional level. And it's just identifying a way of how we can bridge that gap. And I think you perfectly put that nicely, in a perfect way and I think it's a great message for a lot of the young people, that I think I think today's technology, I think they're a lot more fortunate than people like myself in my generation, those in years before, where, you've got the likes of certain elements that you can go online, like YouTube, and you can try and pick up some points and master classes of some pros or some coaches on there. And it's really just trying to emulate the best you can. But yes, it's not the same of having a coach present, because obviously a coach present can sort of see you on how you are developing, if there is areas that they need to work on. For example, if it's a balancing issue, or your leg, your foot movement, or if that's coming from a more of a batting point. Even bowling, you need a balance as well. Your action, not changing your action completely, but adjusting your action. I think that's really important to say, because on my days, a lot of the coaching were more textbook style, where you have to have your arm up as high as possible, where if you had someone like Malinga and these coaches grabbed him, you wouldn't see Malinga on the legend that he is today. So,
for sure.
It's all about trying to adjust their raw talent, and what's the best we can get out of them. And obviously give them the advice that certain things that they might be doing, which might injure them on a long-term basis, could take them out. As coaches,
if you look at Justin Langer, there's a famous quote going around that when he actually saw Steve Smith bat, he was like, "This guy can't bat."
Yeah.
Steve Smith is not a batsman; he cannot bat. But then he became the captain, and he's now, one of the best Test players, batsmen, or arguably one of the best batsmen in all three formats in the world at the moment. And his technique and all of these things, it's not the way, quote, as you're saying, textbook-wise, should be. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like, if people have their own ways and it's working for them, then to continue to work on your skills, like strengthen your strengths to become the strongest of skills, but then also work on your weaknesses so you can get them up to adequate skills. But whatever your strength is, if that's bowling Yorkers, or turning the ball, or hitting the ball hard, or playing long innings, make that your strength and make it so good that when it comes to you having to perform and develop your skills, and actually on the crunch day, on the day when it matters, you know that this is your time. So it's like me when I'm bowling, if I coming to the death, that is my skill. So if someone chucks me the ball and says, we've got 6 overs left, they need 20 to win off 6 overs with 3-4 wickets to go, I'm like, that's no problem for me. I know that at the back of my mind, this is me. This is my situation. I'm going to nail every ball here. They don't have a chance. As long as you've gone into that war beforehand, knowing that, like boxers do, again, referring it back to other sports. I think, if you go back to boxing, they say the fight's won or lost before they've even gone into the fight. That's why they have all the pre-hype and all these face-to-face interviews and stuff. Because if you believe and you know that before you're going into your battle that you're that strong, then nothing can stop you. And I think these messages and skills that we take from life, from sports and so forth, we can really relay them into our everyday life. And if things are not going so well, like, okay, there's times it takes time to get to things, or there's processes, and trusting the process to get to where you want to be it's a big factor. Like, even if you're training, like with developing muscle or losing weight, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes a 3-4 week period to do it. We must, as humans, to go through that 3-4 week period to get the results that we're looking to get these days. I think again, going back to the basics, these are fundamentals that at the beginning of life, this is what life is. A baby isn't born overnight. It takes 9 months to produce and within the human body, and then to being given birth. So it's a process of life. It's the circle of life that we live in. But people almost now with the distractions refrain from that. So I think that if you can nail these basics in now and learn them while you're young, then when you get to your peak and your prime, you're mentally advanced as well as your physicalities. When they both meet, then that's where success is met, and that's where success is built from.
Wow, I mean, I think that's sums it all up. To be honest with you, in such a positive and innovative way. So obviously, as we know that the lockdown is obviously, and obviously this will come to the final bits now. Where do you want to see yourself in 2-3 years' time?
Good question, Sajid. I want to see myself fully contracted within a county here within England, and potentially securing myself in a league internationally, securing my spot. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, and inshallah that will happen very soon. Inshallah before those times. Inshallah. So what about yourself, Sajid? What's your plans for the next 2-3 years?
I didn't think you were going to ask me that question, but you have now, so I will try and.
It's only fair. It's only fair.
No, it's a good question. Well, obviously, I want to continue. Well, we've obviously the Sunday program that we have. I would say in 3 years' time, we want to continue strengthening that. What we want in 3 years' time, that we want to have an active women's league as well. So that's something that we are really working to inspire to. Trying to work with
That's a big area as well to be.
It's a massive area. It definitely is a massive area, and I think working with the women's league is something that I really have the passion for. We were very close of starting something this year, but unfortunately with this lockdown, the idea has come through, which is great. Now we're looking at doing a T20 format so it'll be very similar to what we do with the men's. We have a competition called the T20 Storms in the NCO, so we want to do that. And the other thing, obviously, with my coaching badge, I want to go into schools as well, especially to deliver to girls after school club. There's a program I'm looking to start called the Phoenix Girls Cricket Program. So that's something that I'm looking at.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just linking everything up with that.
I think that's beautiful with what you do, Sajid, that everything is almost interlinked with each other, and I think that's why we interlink so well as well. Like our fields cross paths so much, and like I say, like anything you need to help you with your leagues and your ideas, I'm here for you, and I'm sure we can get many of these viewers and people behind us as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, as I said, we want to obviously be in a position where we've got stations all the way around that cricket is breathing healthily. So obviously, having a shopping mall, being busy now, but we want it to be busy in 5-10 years time. So we do need to develop the areas to the new audiences. So so that's me. But I had to think long and hard to try and get what was the next 3 years plan. But definitely it's a good question. Good. It's tell you what, it's really given, I'm sure, I don't know about myself, but it's given me a real lift to talk to you. And it's nice it's nice to sort of get a feeling and a feed on just obviously on two different fronts, from a local grassroots administrational level to a professional athlete like yourself who's been playing professional cricket. And it's really good and I hope that this message that we will obviously provide and share with everyone does give everyone a real lift. And I think we need to do more, and I'm hoping that you start something off as well as I start something off. I think we both sort of could start something off on our own sort of platforms using this sort of softwares and trying to get,
Of course, I think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be interesting. Let's see. This was a great, great way to start what we shall continue. We've got God knows how many weeks left of this lockdown. We've got the season, which is saying 4th of July. So, for all the viewers, whether we female and the males, in the cricketing world, we will continue to put out our efforts to provide stuff for you all to learn from and to give you opportunity to one day share the field with some of these greats. So, stay tuned and hopefully, with our great work,
No, it's been a pleasure, actually. It's been a real pleasure. You asked me some really tough questions. I don't normally get asked those questions, but it's good. I think you could do a good host, a very good host.
Likewise.
So I think we both sort of come and I think we discovered something.
We will get one of these done again very soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. And I hope that you do the same for others. Obviously, get someone else on similar platforms like this. Do what we're doing, share the positivity of everyone. And all I say is keep up the great work, and I salute you on what you do.
Yeah, inshallah.
No.
Yeah, you take care.
Wa alaikum salam.